Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. The new developments for today, the 7th of September, Saturday, 2024. The Russians advance towards Pokrovsk. The Ukrainians claim they counterattack in Pokrovsk. I'm skeptical about that, but nevertheless, I hope it's not going to be another Bakhmut retreat. If you remember how the Ukrainians retreated from Bakhmut, that was awful. I think there was a command failure. It was just sacrificing Ukrainians for basically PR stunt. Then we have the Russians claiming that they liberated, as they call, another village towards Pokrovsk, but somehow the Ukrainians counterattack. Zelensky claims that he would like to end the war this fall. So 2 months, 1 month, 3 months, and he needs the help of the Western backers. With them, he would successfully achieve that goal. What else? We have a major Russian drone attack on Ukraine, and all drones that were launched by the Russians towards Kiev were downed by the Ukrainian air defense systems. Isn't that fantastic? But somehow a drone's wreckage just landed on the steps of the Ukrainian parliament in Kiev. What a coincidence that too, right? The counterattack, all right, and what else? We find out what Mr. Medvedev thinks about the sanctions, the US imposed sanctions, and he knows for sure when those sanctions will end. And I think he's 100% right about when the sanctions against the Russian Federation will be gone, coming from the United States of America. You wouldn't believe how accurate he can be. All right, so let's start with the first topic. Coming from Ukraine Forum, air defense system shoots down all enemy drones threatening Kiev at night. Got it? Last night, air defense units destroyed all the attack drones used by Russian troops to attack the capital of Ukraine. All right, where is that located? Right here. This is Kiev. This is Kursk, where the NATO invaded Russia. Here is Kharkov, just so you know where things. This is Crimean Peninsula. So here is Kiev. This is what the Ukrainians claim. They downed all drones coming towards Kiev. Again, Ukraine shuts 58 Russian kamikaze drones overnight, Saturday. So they destroyed 58 in the early hours of Saturday, September 7th. And it says here the Russian invaders attacked Ukraine with Shahed-type UAVs, launch areas in Kursk and Yeisk, as well as Cape Chauda in the temporarily occupied Crimea. So Kursk, Yeisk, and Chauda are here. Kursk is here. Now for the Yeisk, we go across from the Sea of Azov. Here is Yeisk, right here. And then we have Cape Chauda, which is in the Crimean Peninsula by the Kerch Bridge, right here. This is Cape Chauda. So from here, from this area, and then obviously from Yeisk, which is right here in this tip, and then we have Kursk. It is right here, obviously. That's actually where it is, yeah. So let's go back to, let me just figure some things out here. All right, next one. Let's see what else they give us. Oh, here is the evidence. Ukrainian radars spotted 67 incoming air targets. So they spotted 67 incoming air targets, and this is the evidence of the downed drones. No missiles reported yet. The Air Force Anti-Aircraft Missile Forces, Mobile Fire Groups, and other units of Ukraine Defense Forces joint efforts. Okay. As a result, 58 were down. Drones were down over, and they're going to tell us where they attacked. Drones were down over Vinnytsia, Rivne, Khmelnytsky. This is where the F-16 airfields are located. Kiev, Kirovohrad, Mykolaiv, Chernihiv, Cherkasy, Sumy, Kherson, Poltava regions. All right, so let's see where these guys, obviously, and Kiev. As Ukrinform reported earlier, fragments of a Russian attack drone were found outside the Verkhovna Rada. So let's see where this is located in Ukraine. All these things, so Chernihiv, Kharkiv, Cherkasy, Mykolaiv, Vinnytsia, Khmelnytsky, and that's how far they went. They didn't go into the Polish side of Ukraine. And this is basically 2/3 to the west. All right, let's go to the next article. This is the evidence again. And this comes from Ukrainska Pravda. Ukrainian defenders downed 58 out of 67. All right, we already have that covered. All Shahed drones destroyed during the large-scale nighttime attack on Kiev. This is some page systems for you. All right, let's go to the next one. UAV wreckage crashes near Ukrainian parliament building. And here is the evidence right there. See that? That's what it is. Exactly that wreckage. Let's zoom over it. So we have no doubt that's a Russian drone. All right, I think we got it. Next one. Drone debris found near Ukrainian parliament after Russian attack. We have it from a different angle. If you had any doubts that's a car bumper or not, I'm just kidding. Here it is from this angle, and here it is from this angle. That's the evidence. Next, Ukrainian defenders counterattack on Pokrovsk front, Forbes reports. Now, I'm afraid that this counterattack in Pokrovsk is like the Bakhmut retreat. If you remember, I think it was Artemovsk, as the Russians call it, Bakhmut, as the Ukrainians call it. Remember, they waited until the Russians almost encircled them. And then they said, retreat now! And it was a disorganized retreat. And they said, well, it was organized. I made a video with these guys running, and the Russians capturing some Ukrainians inside. I think it was Bakhmut. So nevertheless, is it a fact? Well, you counterattack. It doesn't mean that your counterattack is successful, but nevertheless, let's see what these guys are saying. Ukrainian forces had 4 or 5 brigades in reserve. What, you don't know? Which are now operating on the Pokrovsk front. Where is Pokrovsk? Is in a Donetsk area, right here, where the Russians are advancing big time. You see this little bulge, let's call it that way. This is Pokrovsk here. Right there. The Russians call it Krasnoarmeysk. That's how they call it. But it's Pokrovsk, believe me. I will show you another map, and right here, Pokrovsk. This is the same bulge right there. So, as I said, it's located in here. So these guys are counterattacking, trying to stop the Russians here somewhere. Well, we'll see. Let's see what these guys are claiming. Conducting minor counterattacks. They are slowing down, if they're minor, but they're slowing down and pushing back the Russians. But the Russians somehow liberate the town. Anyway, let's go back. The one seemingly inevitable capture of Pokrovsk by Russian forces now appears less likely. This is getting drunk with water, with tap water. According to Forbes, that you must believe, the Russian Second Combined Army, comprising dozens of regiments and brigades, outnumbers Ukrainian forces near Pokrovsk, which are part of the Tavria operational strategic group of troops, by about 4 times. So the invaders are 4 times, but the brave Ukrainians with NATO are able to slow down, and appears less likely that they will take over Pokrovsk. All right. Forbes stated that Ukrainian held 4 or 5 brigades in reserve, each consisting of up to 2,000 soldiers and hundreds of vehicles. Russian propagandists, so Forbes is the accepted liar, because they never lie. And then we got the propagandist right here. Yevgeny Norin described these units as reasonably intact and well equipped. So this guy is a propagandist giving us something balanced, but these guys tell us, oh no, they are just attacking, and the once seemingly inevitable capture Pokrovsk by Russian forces now appear less likely, because these guys conducting minor counterattacks. This is how they do it. Now, some of these reserves are joining the fight along the last line of trenches and fortified towns 5 to 6 miles from Pokrovsk. So this is the last line of trenches. So if the Russians beat them right here, that means they are going what? Straight here? Because the Russians claim, Putin said, we just want to liberate Donetsk People Republic, which these are the borders of the Ukrainian Oblast. But I don't think they're going to stop there. They will make sure that they have a buffer zone, and they will have to change what's going on in Kiev. That's for 100% certain. They can't leave NATO be here. I guarantee you that. So let's go back to these guys here. It says a Russian blogger, not propagandist, noted that, and I'm quoting, what is happening is exactly what was predicted. The Ukrainian armed forces have begun counterattacking, which is helping to stabilize the front line, at least for now. So this speaks a little bit towards the Ukrainians. So he's just a blogger. He's not a propagandist. If he would have said these guys are taking a shit there, this Russian blogger would be labeled as propagandist. All right, let's go to the next article. New Voice of Ukraine. Ukrainian forces launch counterattacks. Minor, remember? Slowing Russian advance near Pokrovsk. Pokrovsk is going to be done. I guarantee you that. Again, had 4 or 5 the same article. Let's go to the Russians claiming Sputnik. The Russian forces liberate Kalinovo settlement in Donetsk People's Republic, Defense Ministry. And you say, well, this is Russians reporting. Well, don't worry, I have Reuters. And since Reuters always tell the truth, I built my credibility with you guys, right? I don't have to build anything because it's already there. Never lied, so unless, interpretations. Russian troops take Kalinovo in Ukraine's Donetsk region, Defense Ministry. This is what Reuters says, this is what the Russians. Now, Kalinovne, they claim, where is it? Let's go to this one. It says, Russian Defense Ministry said in a briefing published on Telegram on Saturday that its forces has taken a village in eastern Ukraine's Donetsk region. Kalinovo lies southeast of Pokrovsk, where the guys are defending and counterattacking, a major Ukrainian logistic hub threatened by an accelerating Russian advance in East Ukraine's industrial Donbass. The village's population was around 200 people, according to Ukraine's 2001 census. That's what, man? 23 years ago? Psst. All right, nevertheless. So this is in southeast. Southeast of Pokrovsk is this way. So it should be in this area. I looked for it here, but nevertheless, southeast is in this area. So they're attacking, and I covered it in another video. I covered the Russians claiming they were trying to conduct a pinching operation on Pokrovsk, which is going like this and going like this. So going to the flanks and then descending on the city. All right. Or if you want, and if you don't, I will let you do this. Pokrovsk right here, because these guys are a little bit more advanced than the Russians in the map. So they're going to go like this, and they're going to go like this over Pokrovsk. Let's go to the Russian article. The Russian Defense Ministry, Russia's Central Battle Group has taken control of the settlement of Kalinovo in the Donetsk People's Republic, DPR, the Russian Defense Ministry said. So, and this guy is having fun. Look at this clown. Jesus Christ. All right, so this is where the Russians claim they took over. Next one. Russia's sanctions will stay until United States collapses. Medvedev said, neither Trump nor Harris will lift restrictions on Moscow, the former Russian president has predicted. I am 100% certain that will happen. Russia Today. And I also think that this is correct. These guys will not lift sanctions because it's a war. Hey, why don't you show Australia a little bit? Will you say Australia here, mate? You don't want to? Oh, here it is. It was the ocean over there. We don't. Anyway. So I think it's correct. Why? Because it's a global geopolitical struggle. Kampf, right? And these guys cannot let the tiger by the balls. They got a tiger by the balls, and they cannot let it because the tiger will turn around and eat the mofos. So let's read further and see what arguments he brings. But arguments are clear over there. It's the global struggle. Neither nor. Wide-reaching sanctions on Russia will remain in place no matter who wins the US presidential election in November. Yes, because they're not in charge. I think they're just some representatives to tell us what the decision has been made behind closed doors. Former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev has said. Earlier this week, Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump pledged to, and I'm going to use sanctions as little as possible if he makes a return to the White House. What are sanctions? Sanctions are, in this case, is like a parent educates the child. That is, how do you make a child do what you think is right for the child to do? So let's say you tell the child, okay, don't do that. You don't like the child doing something, obviously. So the United States of America doesn't like what a country does. Even though here, I'm going to show you the relationship between a parent and a child. So the parent can tell the child legally what to do because he has custody of the child, correct? Legal and physical. You are in charge. You are responsible for the child. In the case of the United States of America, there's no such a thing. The United States of America doesn't have custody of the world or the country that does something the United States doesn't like. So we shouldn't be involved, but we have interest. And the interests are defended by this, political or military or economic. How? We take the economic factor right now, which is sanctions. So the parent tells the child, if you do that, you're going to go in your room. You're going to be grounded. You can't go and visit whatever. You're not going to have play day. We're not going to go to the, I don't know, playground today. So you threaten the kid. And you say, hey, the kid, this is the negative consequences of your actions. And the kid is going to be, I do it. And he does it, and then you obviously apply what you said. Now, this is from a subordinate to a boss, to a master. This is the relationship. On this planet, we know that there's no such a thing. We know that we have United Nations, all countries are equal. We have a system, right, to determine. So this country, which considers itself a parent, tells the country, you can't do that because I don't like it. And I don't want you to do that. But you're a free, independent, sovereign country to do whatever you want. But somehow, I am in control of you. And then what do? I place sanctions on you. I hurt you. So the United States of America, as long as it's going to have global interest, what weapons it has, it's losing against Russia, China, and the rest of the world. Why? Because they kicked too many people in the teeth. And remember, a victim remembers the aggressor. But the aggressor, the perpetrator, the criminal, tends to forget all the victims. So if you ask these guys, hey, what the hell is going on in, let's say, Nicaragua? You would say, what Nicaragua? We have nothing against Nicaragua. We didn't do anything to Nicaragua. Or Chile. Let's say Chile. Allende, remember Allende in 1960s, wasn't it? Who killed Allende? Wasn't Allende in Chile? Anyway, if you ask these guys, why Chile hates us or might not like us, some older Chilean people, anyway, because they don't know. They don't know, yeah, but your country with CIA were kind of involved over there, and they kind of some people in the presidential palace or whatever was the, how do you call it, the parliament. Wasn't Allende defending with a weapon over there? Against whom? The uprising, the color revolution, like in Ukraine. So you see, these guys tend to forget. So those countries will not forget. So Chile, when Chile will decide, let's say, to join BRICS or join the Russians and Chinese, is because they already got kicked in the teeth by CIA many times already. Therefore, they won't say, no, not you. And this guy's going to say, they hate our freedoms. This is going to be the baboons' explanations for the other baboons. Chile left because Chile hates our freedom. They're bad people. Must be. Why? Because we're good. Because you don't know shit. You're an ignorant. That's the same here. The sanctions are going to be less and less because you're going to have less and less power over the countries. Because the countries will go into BRICS, will form their alternative or separate institutions, you'll see that, and they will have their own club. So they will be out of the sphere of CIA and other influences or sanctions from the United States of America. Therefore, they will, nevertheless, he can't use it. You can't sanction a kid that's not yours. So the kid is over there, you can't sanction the kid of the family next door. You can't. You can do it only around here. The kid can be sanctioned by his parents. Now, we'll see if China and Russia and India will play as parents of the second club or not. That would be a mistake. but you can't be equal, let's say, Russia with Zimbabwe. In any way, militarily, geopolitically, strategically, economically, militarily, you can't. So it has to be a little... Now, it depends what you do with power. People say, well, power changed Emil. No, power did not change Emil. Power just showed who Emil really is. That's what it is. We say, I know power. Since Emil is a director, he's an asshole. No, that's what he was always. He was an asshole, but the point is, now he can show it to you. Why? Because he doesn't care. You can't reach him. We say, well, these guys, the same. We all have our ego, but we have to keep it down because of the negative consequences that society will boop upon us. That's why we keep civilized. But once we get in power and we're unchecked, then you see what kind of people we really are. Because in our little world, right here, I can be whatever I am, which is myself. When I go outside, I have to behave to a certain, right, standards or not. It depends who you are. So the more you are yourself outside, shows who you really are. Unless you get in power and then you say, you know what? If you behave the same way you behaved before, that means that's the guy you are. Anyway, so let's see Medvedev here. So the thing with less sanctions is not because Trump is a good guy. Otherwise, he's going to lose the power to take over these countries and this globe, particular, right here in my office. It's because he can't. He will not be able. So in a Telegram post on Saturday, Medvedev insisted that Trump's comments does not mean he will lift the penalties in force against Moscow. No, he won't, obviously. For all his, I'm quoting, for all his apparent bravado as an outsider of what? Of the system, Trump is ultimately an establishment insider. Yes, he is an eccentric narcissist, but he is also a pragmatist. I think it's... Anyway, the official who now serves as deputy chair of the Russian Security Council said, and I'm quoting again, the former US president understands that sanctions harm the dollar's role as the international revenue currency, but for him it is still insufficient reason to stage a revolution in the US and go against the anti-Russian line of the notorious deep state, which is much stronger than any Trump. Correct? What do you think? And I'm quoting, as for the Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris, one, and I'm quoting Medvedev there again, should not expect any surprises from her. I think that's accurate. If she wins the elections, Medvedev predicted, and I'm quoting again, she is inexperienced and, according to her enemies, just plain stupid. What do you think about that one? Well, listen to her, and if you have something right here and down there, you understand that's correct. Beautiful, meaningless speeches, correct, and boring, correct answers to questions would be prepared for her, which she will read off a teleprompter while laughing contagiously. This you should just frame it. This you should frame it right there, because I think it reveals 100% who she really is. And I agree with Medvedev, because that's the conclusion I reached a long time ago. The former Russian president noted that the Soviet Union was under sanctions for most of the 20th century. Now Russia is facing similar treatment from the US and its allies, but one much larger, unprecedented scale, on a much larger, as he added. And I'm quoting, so, it is sanctions forever, or rather, until the US collapses during an imminent new civil war. Tend to agree with that one. I gave it 20 years that, after all, Hollywood makes films about this for a reason. Why do you think that is? It is to prepare the garbage, to prepare the baboons, to understand that that's possible, and to instigate others as an option. But hey, the good will always prevail. Why? Because the Hollywood has to follow the requirements of the American Film Association. They said always the good has to be portrayed to win. But the good is relative, because remember, what's good for a criminal is not good for a non-criminal, law-abiding citizen. Remember, or for a, no, I'm not going to go deeper than that. So I think he's 100% certain. I predicted, I think about more than 10 years ago. Let's say 12 years ago. I said the United States of America, about in 20 years at the most, there will happen something that I don't want to happen. But in the name of the good, Hollywood makes some movies. All right, and this is the last article and topic coming from Russia Today from 7th of September. Ukraine conflict must end this fall, Zelensky states. Kiev has asked its Western helpers to redouble their pressure on Moscow. Ukrainian leader, because he's Ukrainian, these guys are imbeciles from Russia Today, and not only. Vladimir Zelensky has urged NATO members to continue. If you want to destabilize Ukrainian nation, you don't call this guy Ukrainian. You call him something else. You call him as Putin called him, and I agree, an alien, a foreigner. That's why I'm foreigner, because they're owned by these guys here. That's how I would do it. I would say, actually, Ukrainians, that guy doesn't represent you. He's not one of you. It's someone else. It's alien to you guys. You just repeat that, and the baboons will get it, because we have baboons all over. Romanian baboons, French baboons, American baboons, Ukrainian baboons, Russian baboons, and they are the majority, overwhelming majority. That's why when you start a revolution, you don't think that they will support you. You make them support you. How? You prepare them. And then you act, why? With visions. Visions and emotions. Not with brain. Vision and emotions. That's what you do it. You have to be a very compact, small group and of believers in your revolution, and make sure you got the army with you. If you don't have the army with you, you're not going to succeed. If the army is on the other side, you will lose 100%. Why? Because the will of the people is so strong as a bullet shot in the air, as a warning. Boom, boom, by the military standing in front of you. And when they do that, all those guys will move backwards, and then they will point it towards you. You're going to move backwards. I'm not talking about Kent University here in 1970s or whatever that was, 73, or where they were shot by the National Guard. I'm not talking about those pew, pew, pew. No, the real deal. Tanks and all that. Like Napoleon, remember? He saved the revolution. Actually, he saved the monarchy for the revolutionaries. Anyway, it was... you remember when he used the cannons to disperse the Parisian mob or crowd on the citizens of the French Republic that was emerging? You remember that one? Well, that was Napoleon, that guy over there, the emperor. Now, he was an example of a commoner growing into saying, you know what, I'm an emperor right here. You everybody. Yeah, and he behaved like a, let's go, like a human being. We expect sometime from people who get in power to behave with nobility, forgetting that they came from among us. Some of them pop, some of them hop, some of them the same level. And when they get over there, what do you expect? A good example would be Ceausescu. Ceausescu behaved way above his initial condition. As a peasant with fourth degree education, fourth level, he behaved with class compared with these guys. Class. And he was a peasant, he was a biz, he was barely literate and so on. But when he got over there, he behaved way above his, and everybody was, oh my God, how can we say that? Remember, the guy was coming from... All right. So Zelensky, let's see what Zelensky says here. So has urged NATO members to continue to arm his country. Again, imbeciles. The Russia Today. I would not portray it as his country, but that's me. But that tells me that Russia Today is not a, as they call it, I would be even worse than these guys. If these guys are called propaganda, I think I will be called super propaganda. Why? You have to know people's psychology, and I'm pretty sure they have intelligent people over there. So you are at war. They say Russia Today obviously is owned by the state. So why in the hell you don't call it in a certain way that you change things? Maybe because your readers are not baboons? Must be. I mean, some of them are, some of them are not. Like everywhere else. So he made a statement, okay, to arm his country and pressure Russia to agree to Kiev's peace terms this fall. That means capitulation, like Japan and Germany during the Second World War. He made a statement during a meeting with our U.S. Defense Secretary Lord Austin at the Ramstein Air Base in Germany, because Germany is under occupation, still is. Regular gatherings, And I'm quoting Mr. Zelensky. To achieve this, we need funding. We are ready to quickly, with the blood of the Ukrainian nation, are ready to quickly produce everything that will help us bring this war, help us, which is I and you, my masters, bring this war to an end, namely by putting decisive pressure on Russia for real peace. Are you crazy? Let's make this fall, I'm quoting again, a time for Russian aggression to fall in a way that will end the war and restore, now this is laughable, reliable international security orders. Reliable international security order. Like spring 2014 in Ukraine, that reliable like that, or maybe reliable as Yugoslavia 1999, or maybe reliable as the invasion of Iraq, Afghanistan, bombardment of Libya, illegal occupation of Syria, of the great country of the United States of America and Lloyd Austin. He didn't do it, but he continues it. So is this the reliable one? The reliable with Kim Jong-un having nuclear weapons more than it used to have, bigger and longer, all right? Ballistic missiles that could hit the United States of America. Is that what it is? And that is because we put more pressure? Is that the restore? Is that what he wants to restore? Or what, Taiwan? Maybe Iran? Is that what restoration means? No, he's just a that gurgling over there, the Ukrainian. Thank you very much for being with me again today. It is true, my friends, there will not be a... he thinks, I mean, this is for propaganda reasons. I read a few articles, and I'm going to make a video on that, when these guys claim that the invasion of Russia took a chunk of the Russian territory. Have you looked, let's put it in proportion, in perspective. Have you looked at the Russia? Let's say Russia is this big. Let me give you another like this. Russia is this big, all right? Let's put it this way. Now, the attack on Kursk, the invasion of Kursk, how much is this? Okay, let's turn it the other way around. Maybe not like that. Is it like that little dot over there? Not even. So this is the Russian territory. The occupied Kursk doesn't count, not even like that. Let's find something smaller, like this right here. See that little black shed over there? Right there, you see that? Maybe not even like that if you put it proportionate to the so that's a chunk. That's a chunk. I tell you what a chunk would be. Like this apple thing would be maybe a chunk. But they said a chunk. And they think that little dot over there, which is already stuffed by the Russians, who are not even employing their full capacity into destroying these guys, which is about 30 million people. 30 million people, general mobilization. No. Nuclear weapons, no. But with that little chunk, right, this guy wants to end the war and had the Russians capitulate while having their little nuclear weapons holstered. All right, I capitulate, but I have both revolvers with nuclear weapons. Are you crazy? No, but they target the baboons, not you and I. They know that we're not going to believe this garbage, but they tell it for the baboons, and the baboons, yeah, man, if we only going to give more money from my children and from the school, from our infrastructure, and more taxes for us to the Ukrainian leader, he was going to destroy the evil dictator, European Putin. And they really believe it. Why? Because they're ignorance. Ignorance. Thank you very much. Ignorant meaning you don't know. You know, you just... And some of them know, but continue to glug. And these are the guys who think they're going to be working for the government or for a company that will give them money if they continue with this garbage. This war should not have been started in a, how did they call over there? Security, what the fuck was the name? Reliable international security order. Would not have started. But the guys who started it in 2014, which are his sponsors, and not only, he wants to... No, that's opposed by the other guys. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.